I'm very worried, without risk of exaggeration or hyperbole, given the absolute craziness that is unfolding here in the UK. I am worried about making this video. I'm worried about commenting on these cases, and I'm certainly very concerned about expressing any personal opinions. Because of this, I'm going to try and limit this video to stating the facts, then I will let you draw your own conclusions. I've spoken at length in previous videos about the supposed two-tier judiciary system. This particular video has come about because I was personally interested in what happened to former Labour Councillor Ricky Jones, who, if we don't remember, was seen at a rally at a counter-protest against the supposed far-right thugs, as we have come to know them, basically calling for the beheading of anyone of the opposing political faction.
And we need to hold their throats and get rid of them all!
In Labour's defence, he was suspended and he was due his day in court. And so I thought, given some of the other cases we've seen recently with so-called two-tier justice and what I referred to maybe previously as police overreach, I wanted to see exactly what had happened to Ricky Jones. But before we look at that, let's set ourselves a benchmark. Let's look at another case that I've spoken about where someone has seen a custodial sentence. I spoke previously about Lee Dunn. Sorry to interrupt the video, just wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone who supports the channel. If you haven't done so already, then I do ask that you kindly click the subscribe button down below. 97% of people who watch these videos aren't currently subscribed, which is crazy, right? It's totally free. You can change your mind and there won't be any hard feelings if you choose to unsubscribe at a later date. If you do find these videos useful and you want to help me out, you can buy me a beer by clicking the link in the description below, and that also would be very much appreciated, particularly in this hot weather. Anyway, back to the video. If you're not familiar with the story, I did make a video on it, so go back and check that out. But on the 31st of July, Lee Dunn posted 3 images on Facebook, or shared 3 images on Facebook along with his own comments. These were deemed to be offensive against certain protected groups of people. And within less than 2 weeks of these images being shared, he had received a day in court and he was sentenced to a custodial sentence. He was put in prison for 8 weeks for sharing 3 images on Facebook. If we consider that what Ricky Jones did was a direct incitement to violence,
And we need to hold their throats and get rid of them all!
it was actively calling for violence towards an opposing political faction. In his own words, I want to see how this compares to supposed hate speech in the form of sharing images on Facebook. I chose to use the Crown Prosecution Service website purely because this should be bare bones information. It should be without political bias and it should be without commentary. So I went to the CPS website to see what had happened, and it said that Ricky Jones was being charged with 1 count of encouraging violent disorder. Jones was filmed addressing a crowd in Walthamstow on Wednesday the 7th of August, during which he appeared to make remarks and a gesture to encourage others to act violently towards far-right protesters, as we saw in the video.
And we need to hold their throats and get rid of them all!
He has been arrested and charged within 48 hours. Again, good to see that, level playing field, everyone is being processed quickly and put before a judge quickly, and will now appear at Westminster Magistrates Court this afternoon, the 9th of August. So within 2 days, he had been processed and he was put before a judge. This is the sort of fast tracking we have seen when it has come to these so-called far-right thugs, whether that be someone protesting in person, someone making comments on Facebook which are deemed to be hateful, or someone, in the other instance I spoke about, waggling their finger at police and calling them nasty names. This is the bit that is slightly concerning. It goes on to say on the CPS website, "We remind all concerned that criminal proceedings are active and that he has a right to a fair trial." Fair enough. "It is extremely important that there should be no reporting, commentary or sharing of information online which could in any way prejudice these proceedings." But from what I read further up the article, he had already been sentenced. He'd basically been tried and he'd been put in front of a judge within 48 hours, the same as the other examples we've spoken about. So I did some further digging. There was no real additional information on the CPS website, and found an article in The Guardian, and it said that he will next appear, and this is hidden right down the bottom of the article, it says he will next appear at Inner London Crown Court on the 6th of September. So this fast-track procedure does seem to be somewhat reserved for those people using supposed hate speech, or indeed sharing memes or sharing images which the government deems to be outside of the acceptable political standpoint, and instead someone who has directly incited violence or called for violence against a political faction, their case seems to have been moved back. with no further reporting from the CPS. This means that time will only tell how the sentencing does vary between someone posting some images on Facebook and someone calling for the beheading of their political rivals. However, I'll be sure to report on pure facts, no commentary, no opinion, after that trial has concluded. But I'm not holding my breath. Stay safe, stay sane, everyone.